You didn't get the message of the ponies because you're not Slavic. But I'm Russian and I'm going to break it down for you. My name is Tatiana Zhakova and here I'm talking about hidden depth and meanings of movies, TV series and even bloggers. Subscribe to my channel not to miss new videos. So, did you watch the new TV series Ponies with Emilia Clarke, which is talking about two female spies in Russia? First of all, the whole plot is an irony, because it doesn't actually reflect the real order of things. It doesn't show how it really works in Russia, how the Russian language works, how the English language works, and so on. The whole show takes place in Moscow, though it was not actually filmed in Moscow, it was filmed in Budapest. But here everyone names Moscow just a shithole, the worst place, the very cold place. But actually, Moscow is a great city. I'm personally not from Moscow, but so many citizens of Russia, so many Moscow inhabitants do love the city and really think that this is the best city in the world because the service is high, the architecture is great, but yeah, of course it is quite cold and now it is short of internet. There is a very interesting scene where Emilia Clarke speaks Russian when she buys eggs in the market, and suddenly a lot of people in this market do understand the English language. But actually it is not true again. Because in any market, even near the Kremlin, even near the English embassy, no one would speak English. Because the Russians don't actually know English very well, just like about, I don't know, 5% to maybe 10 do speak it somehow, but I think even less. Again, in Moscow the number is higher, but if you go to a cafe in a city like, again, not St. Petersburg, but for example Nizhny Novgorod, where I'm from, Kazan, or Ekaterinburg, Volgograd, Sochi, you won't meet a lot of English-speaking people. But actually, Emilia Clarke speaks Russian beautifully. Of course, she has an accent, like almost every Russian-speaking person in this TV series. Again, they are not actually Russians, they are like Ukrainians or from other post-Soviet countries. And it is weird that sometimes they speak with an accent and sometimes they speak without it. For example, they say like, да, мы шпионы. It is with an accent, but actually in pure Russian it will be да, мы шпионы. The mouth works different when speaking different languages, and as I am a linguist, I finished the linguistic university and I have the diploma in the English linguistics, so I do understand how it really works, and you need to keep your mouth really tense if you want to speak the English language without an accent. And it's the same with Russian. If you want to speak a foreign language without an accent, you need to repeat so many times the words with your mouth in a special position. Maybe you don't know, but Russian is the new English in the post-Soviet world because, for example, if a person is from Armenia and a person is from Georgia, Sakartvelo, they will speak Russian to each other because they both will understand it, but almost no Armenian speaks Georgian and vice versa. So it is actually not true to say that Russian is bad only because of the political situation, because Russian is a really widely spoken language and a lot of people from different republics do speak it, like from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and almost like 10 countries, not only Russia. Then nobody is actually that rude that you need to say bad words just to make them do what they need to do. No, it doesn't work this way. Then if we look at the visual component of the TV series, of course we will see that the costumes are not authentic, they look like made by AI. For example, if you ask an AI like Midjourney to draw a costume from the 80s from Russia, they will look like these ones that the girls are wearing, both Bia and the Twila, because even if Bia is dressed quite modestly, still the fabrics are too great for the Soviet Union. They were much simpler, I think. The hairstyles again look too modern and too foreign for Russia, but Twila, I think Twila, yeah, wears this iconic hat, which was really part of Russian culture at that time. And even in the 90s, I think my mom wore the same hat. And the deficit, which is depicted here, is to a part of Russian culture. It was in the Soviet Union and later too. But what looks really impossible is an Afro-American man working in the embassy in Russia and being almost invisible. No, there are no people with such skin color in Russia because it is quite cold, yeah, and there were not so many Africans in the past, and of course there are some Afro-Americans, and they are usually the students of some medicine faculties and so on, but no way that just a person with such skin color goes along the street and it is the Soviet Union. No one looks at him. No, it's impossible. Actually, there were a lot of TV series filmed in Hollywood or by Netflix, which depicted some Russian life, and one of them being Chernobyl. It is like the most famous one, and it really looks really authentic, much more authentic than Ponies, because even the interiors of the flats there are very true to life. Then I should name The Great. It is a very sarcastic TV series, which is actually a fairy tale, and it names a lot of Russian figures, famous figures, but it gives different activities and different history to these figures. But we see bad Russians in the Stranger Things, and it is actually a trope, a TV trope, and even a cliche. And what is even more interesting is the Queen's Gambit, when the main character comes to Russia to play her final competition, and there are a lot of people just playing chess on the streets. Again, it didn't work this way even in this time, but it is very pleasant to see. There is a great TV company in Russia. It is called Sreda Kino, and it films very good Russian TV series about Soviet time too. And my favorite two TV series are The Dark Side of the Moon and Farsa. I'm not sure that you will be able to find them in English, but if you succeed, I do recommend you to watch them to see how really the Soviet Union worked and how the real Russia looked 40 years ago. Thank you for watching, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video.